Oh, you got her, dude. She's down. Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
What's up, everybody? I'm Sam Thrash. I'm your Fall Obsession Podcast host for this week's episode. This week, we are joined by a special guest, his first time on the podcast, Mr. Caleb Stillians. Welcome to the podcast, Caleb.
Hey, thank you for having me. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome having you, man. I'm looking forward to getting into our conversation. Before we do, I do want to mention to our listeners, our podcast is driven by Ridge Rock Hunt Company. Wearing the hat if you're watching the video, and I'll give him a shout out at the end. But diving in to our conversation with you, Caleb, just to kind of break the ice, kick things off, tell our listeners who you are and where you're from.
Okay, so I'm kind of a mutt on where I'm from. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and then at age 2, we moved up to Alaska, and then at age 8, back to Missouri. And I don't know, by then the mountain bug bit me by age 8, and I was like, what? There's barbed wire fences everywhere. I can't climb a mountain. So I started more or less as soon as I graduated high school. I went back up to Alaska and started I'm a professional guide now, so started the whole guiding journey. And then that's morphed into a production company, and then I have a couple other businesses on the side of doing that. So 10,000 foot view of me is I'm a professional hunter, professional guide, and entrepreneur.
Awesome. Well, very cool. And Alaska, man, just what a glorious yet intimidating place to do it is my understanding of it, at least. That's awesome.
You got to get up there. You're going to love it. It's some of the spots in Alaska are not so bad, and some of the spots in Alaska, it's the prettiest place on earth. But it's the toughest place I've ever been. You're going to be cold, you're going to be wet, and if you say you're doing a mountain goat hunt, you got to go up a mountain, and on the way up, you got to go through Devil's Club, which is like this bush that has these tiny little micro needles, and they get all in your skin. Like you cannot not get them in your skin, and they stay in there for like 2 weeks, and then they fester, and they make like these little nasty little bumps on your skin, and that's when you can get them out. You take like a little half a long blade or a little knife and just poke them out. And
I thought you were gonna make me want to go up there, man.
Yeah, well, it's a magical experience. So why I love doing that tough stuff so much is because if you can get through it and you can get through the suck, you get to climb up and get above like the brush line, tree line, and look out, and you're gonna see a view that very few people have seen that in person. Because not many people are like, I'm gonna go up to the top of that mountain, kill that mountain goat.
Yeah. So on that note, though, you said the tough stuff. Let's get into the tough stuff. Who do you guide for, and what do you guys chase?
Yep. So I freelance.
Okay.
So I work with several phenomenal outfitters. I like that because I wanted to hunt the entire state of Alaska and move around a lot. I get bored easy. I like to hunt new country. So that's why I decided to go that angle. So several different outfitters, too many to mention, but they're all phenomenal. And on species, caribou, Dall sheep, mountain goat, brown bear, grizzly bear. I've retired from moose. I don't guide moose anymore, but I used to shoot a lot of moose and Sika blacktail. And if we see a wolf, we'll shoot it. But I don't specifically guide for them. But, if one runs by you, you wax it. So that's kind of what that looks like.
Yeah, I gotcha. So I want to dive a little bit into you. I know you kind of gave us an overview on kind of, how you ended up there, but you say that you freelance as a guide and everything up there. I understand, going up there and being in that country and being in that environment and just the draw that has. What what was it like trying to get established yourself as a guide up there? Because I can't imagine that to be an easy process. And judging by at least what I have heard about you and your social media and stuff like that, you look like you're very successful up there. So
I've been very blessed and have had some success on establishing myself. I'll start from like high school.
Yeah.
So in high school, this guy named David Woolsey walks up and he's like, "Hey, you want to join the archery team?" I'm like, "Well, I do. Like, I bow hunt, but I really don't know if I want to go to tournaments and shoot bullseyes, and I don't know. I'd rather just go out deer hunting." And he kept on me, so I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll come out." Turns out I was talented at it. I was gifted. God blessed me in being able to shoot pretty well, and I won state both years I did it. I did really well in nationals, and then I tied the world record at World. This is National In-School Archery Program, and the kid it's funny. We tied the world record. Me and him both shot a 299 out of 300. And one thing you gotta know about me, I cannot stand to lose. I hate losing, so it's a personal problem. So we go up and we have a shoot off, me and this other kid, and we shoot and we tie. We shoot, we tie. We shoot, we tie. After 3 rounds of that, they're like, "Okay, one arrow shoot off. Who's ever the closest to the bullseye wins." And I'm like, "I got this kid. I'm gonna beat him. I know it." I shoot just off the mark. He shoots, gets it. I lost. Like, I came in second, even though we both tied the world record on that tournament.
yeah.
And it ate me up. And then it turned out that his grandma passed like 4 days before that, and he had to either pick between the archery shoot or his grandma's. I think it was memorial or funeral. I can't remember which one that was.
Right.
So it's kind of funny because that's a side rabbit trail. But I think a lot of things happen for a reason, so it's like he was meant to beat me. But where that ties into the story on how it got me up to Alaska is now all of a sudden I have a lot of money and scholarship money to go to college, and otherwise I wouldn't have gone to college. It just classes is just not my thing. But like, well, I got all this money to go to college. I might as well go to college. College is offering me a scholarship, and it's out in Tennessee. I'm in Missouri at the time, just graduated high school. I was like, I'm gonna go do that. Start shooting archery in college, and the assistant archery coach, daughter, married an outfitter up there in Alaska, and that's how that door got opened, is going up there. And I worked for the first year for free, no pay, and more or less it's you become what's called a packer. It's am I allowed the cuss on the show? Is it?
We try to keep it PG-13 on here. So.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So a packer is gets all the crap jobs. There's a different word that everyone calls it. He's the camp fill in the blank. So that's your role. You don't complain. You work your butt off, and you do what needs to be done. And it sucks. And I happen to not get paid. Most people get paid, but whatever. I didn't get paid. But that's what led me into, okay, now you get your guide's license, and from there it was a gradual walk my way up to get a really good reputation. Everyone I took out hunting really liked me, told their friends. So then all of a sudden I got all these people like, hey, where are you going to be guiding at this fall, because we want to come to hunt with you, side of things. That's I've been fortunate to do that. So it was a long road. For anybody listening to this, if they want to do it, or if they want to do anything else in life, it's you're probably going to have to hit a lot of brick walls and be really slow starting off. But if you keep after it, and even when you're doing let's call them the crappy jobs, even when you're doing that, if you do that to the best of your ability, and you just do it with a smile. I don't want to clean up this bear, or I was doing bear baits for them. I don't want to carry this nasty cooked grease that stinks like the son of a gun and be the guy that's baiting nonstop. But I did it with a smile, and then the people that was up there hunting seen that, and it opened up a bunch of other doors. So it's like, whatever you're doing, freaking crush it.
That's awesome, man. Well put for sure. So I imagine as you're going through all this and earning your way, if you will, you're picking up stuff that you later on utilize as a guide as you start guiding yourself and everything. So I know that there's at least from, because I know the working class guys just had you on their podcast and everything, and as I told you before we started, I listened to that podcast before having you on. I know there's a story about a bear and an interesting encounter there that I got a little bit of a chuckle out of for sure. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Absolutely. So this is back 2 springs ago. I guess it'd been 2021 spring. And I just tagged this other guy out. We killed a beautiful, I think it was 9.8 or 9.9 brown bear. This huge tankle. Well, he leaves, and there's another guy in camp. And he wasn't getting along with the guy that was guiding him or something like that. I forget the backstory. So like, hey, Caleb, do you want to take this other guy out? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. We got 4 days left the season. Give me someone. I want to go back out. So we out hunting and we're walking on this ridge line. He's tired, so he sits back a little bit, and then I go down the ridge to go check. I want to look off this bluff and see what's going on. So I'm coming down, and I got my rifle in my hand, and all of a sudden I hear a rock slide, and like this rock like clumping, like when you walk in the mountain, you hear something that something just moved right there. But in the mountains, you know how it is. It rolls, and you could be 10 yards away from something and not see what's on the other side of that false ridge.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh crap! So I jack around in my gun, and I'm like, what's coming? All of a sudden, 2 big caribou and 1 little caribou pop out, and they go flying by me, looking at me like, you're about to get messed up, dude. And I'm like, oh boy, what's going on? So they disappear. I don't know where they went. I think they just jumped off the side of the mountain and started flying back to Santa or something. I don't know where they went. So I'm like, what's coming next? So I showed them my gun, and I start to box those, like step back, but don't stumble back, because that's how you'll fall and get yourself in trouble. So you're leading with your back foot, stepping back. So I create a little bit of distance, because from where that false ridge was at to where the caribou went by me, it was like 10 yards. So I was like, I want to get a little bit more space than that for whatever was coming behind. Well, all of a sudden, here comes this. It wasn't a big brown bear, but it was an 8-foot brown bear, which is still a big bear. It's
big enough, yeah.
yeah. It's gonna eat you and tear you up. So I start yelling at it, and I encounter a lot of bears in what I do. Like most bears are curious. They'll stand up, sniff what's going on. Sometimes they will circle you, and you have to throw some rocks at them and get them to get out of here. This bear wasn't. He didn't stop. He didn't put his nose in the air, nothing. And to make things worse, the wind's in my face, so he can't smell me. So it's like he's in kill mode. So he looks at me and is like, that's a slow green caribou. I want to try to eat him. So he pauses. And I'm yelling at him, and all of a sudden he just takes off running, like straight at me. I'm like, oh crap, yell. And then as he's coming up, he's about 10, 15 yards from me. I squeeze off around, because I aim right at his face and then pull it down, because I don't want to DLP him, because if you DLP him, it's a lot of paperwork. It's on federal land. The feds will come in, and the state troopers, and when you kill a bear in self-defense, you have to do paperwork. That's how it is. It would ruin that guy's hunt. So I didn't want to do that. So I shot the rock in front of him, blew all the frag in his face. And it rolled, spun, and then took off. And so bear encounter avoided.
I don't want to. If listeners listen to your other episodes with the working class, I don't want to replicate what those guys were saying by any means, but dude, you literally just you had your life moments left potentially, and you're worried about paperwork. It's just I don't know how, man.
Well, I figured I could jack another round and put it in its head. Like I've dealt with a lot of bears, and I've done a decent amount of weapons training. I'm pretty confident in that arena. So it was more about not taking the final days of that guy's hunt away from him, than it was paperwork. Like, because when I say paperwork, not doing paperwork, that's a placeholder of like, we do paperwork. That is days involved in that minimum. Well, like, we can't really hunt. We got a dead bear here. We have to, with one that I shot, not him. I'm the guide. I can't tag it.
Yeah.
So now we got to deal with that, which means at best case scenario, eats up a day to 2 days of his hunt, if not all of it. So it's like, if I can avoid it and not have to kill a bear that doesn't need to die, because I like killing big bears. I want to kill 9, 10-foot bears. I don't want to kill a juvenile.
So what's going through your hunter's mind with all this?
Oh, he was like, it was so funny because I walked back up to him and I was like, well, that was crazy. And he's looking at me like, what in the heck is this guy's problem? And it's funny because then he tried to hire me right after that because like it didn't really rattle me. I'm like, well, it happened. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, it happened. It's like, it's done and over with. He's like, dude, I need guys like you to work for me that can handle stress and just deal with stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm not moving to New York. Well, he's from New Jersey. I'm not moving to New Jersey.
No,
dude,
man,
sorry.
I'm in Alaska. I'm in the mountains for a reason, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I'm not doing that, man. But I appreciate the job offer. So it was kind of humorous because he's like, and then he's goes straight into trying to hire me. It's funny.
So did he end up being successful with his hunt?
No, so we got on quite a few bears. So we had 4 days. 4 days to hunt, and it's tough to get it done. We got on a big bear. We knew he was coming through at. It was a 10-foot bear, but we just ran out of time. It's only so much you can do with 4 days. So we got on a bunch of like medium-sized ones. We got on like a 9-footer bear, but his goal was a 10-foot bear. I was like, dude, if you want to kill a 10-foot bear, we can't shoot that 9-foot bear.
Yeah.
So like, it's just kind of like shooting a 180 buck. You can't shoot a 180 buck if you shoot a 160 every time you go out. So he came back, and the next following spring, we killed a 10-foot 3 bear.
Wow,
So,
awesome.
So he did get a bear, but just not during those 4 days.
Yeah. So the 4 days you mentioned, you know, just it was a shorter time frame for a hunt like that. Whether and it might be different. You'll have to educate me. But for bear or whatever species up there, how long do you need to put something big like that down? I know it's probably circumstantial a little bit, but like, what's a good time frame to shoot for?
So it can happen on the first day, it can happen on the last hour, but 10 days. If you're gonna do a hunt in Alaska, that's brown bear, Dall sheep, moose. Goats are a little bit different. You can do goats faster because they don't move around a lot, and they're white and they're on top of the mountain. So you get behind the spot and scope. Okay, we're gonna go climb that mountain and kill them now. We're like bear, they move around a lot. It's a lot of like being in the right place at the right time, being able to have the wind in your favor. So the longer you have to play with that, the better your chances are. So it's like 10 days, it's gonna happen. 4 days, it's like, well, no, if you want a 10-foot bear, that's just like chances went way down. So.
Yeah, for sure. So what's your favorite animal to pursue?
It's a mixture of the brown bear and the Dall sheep. So the brown bear and a grizzly, for people that don't know, a brown bear and a grizzly is the same subspecies, but they're different in size. So if you imagine, if you draw an imaginary line in Alaska, 50 miles in interior, on the other side of that line is grizzly bears. On this side, coastal side, is the brown bears. Why there was a difference is there's quite a bit of size difference, because over the last however many thousand years you believe in, the brown bear has been on the coast, shorter winters, more milder winters, like it doesn't get as cold as it does on the backside of the mountain.
Right.
And then now you have an ocean that's washing up food all year round. Some bears would get up in the winter, eat food, get back. Well, on the other side, getting on the Alaska range, it's way harder in the wintertime. The salmon come in later and the salmon leave later because they swim up and then they go wash down. So that's just a little bit of a educational thing. So brown bears, and then the Dall sheep. I really enjoy the Dall sheep. Love it. So when it comes to killing the animal, the brown bear, because you got to have your ducks in a row, or that brown bear could get you. The Dall sheep is fun because you're on top of the mountains, you cover a lot of ground. You have to have everything in your favor. You can't be stupid because you could fall off a mountain, but the sheep's not going to eat you, so that's not the same adrenaline rush for me when we go shoot one. But
Yeah.
it's still fun.
Gotcha. Very, very interesting. What's the biggest grizzly that you've guided?
I think it was 10-4.
10-4. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
If you hop on Instagram, you can look me up and you can see a bunch of different bear pictures. Like the bears, paws are wider than my chest, like as wide as my chest on most of them. It's like, it's a big paw. Take your face off.
Yeah. So whatever the animal, I mean, take your pick, but y'all go up there and it's a hard, all out hunt from the get-go, however many days you're up there. But then give our listeners an idea on the work entailed on the after the shot side, when you're bringing this guy back out with his kill.
Yep. So I will switch to my Dall sheep hunt I just did, because it's an easy way, because it's just a one-man show. I did a solo hunt. Went up there, backpacked about 30 to 40 miles in, ballpark range. Found the sheep. After a couple of days, a cat and mouse killed them. Well, now in Alaska, it's illegal to waste any meat, as it should be. So I gotta cape the animal. I want to take the entire hide. It's later in September, so the hide's super fluffy. I want to make a blanket out of it. So I take that, I take the head, I take all of the meat. So now you're looking, and your gear, you have your full camp and food. So you're looking at about 180 to 200 pound pack. And I got to figure out how to move it back out of the mountains and find a spot where an airplane can come land and pick me up. So there's a lot of walk into that, and not only just on the physical side of like I gotta carry this pack. There's also like I gotta make sure that at this point in time it wasn't bad because it was cold, but especially in warmer climate, meat care. So I gotta make sure the meat gets a crust on it. So you want to leave it in quarters. You don't want to debone it. It's harder to preserve meat when it's deboned. You want it in a quarter. You want to get it where it stays dry, so you want to have it taut, but you don't want to have the oxygen shut off from it because you want a crust to form on the outside. So you need to learn all these things to keep that meat from spoiling, because if a spoil is on you, it's technically illegal, so you don't want that to happen.
Interesting. So timeline, like what? Let's talk warmer weather. Timeline coming out with that kind of meat. How long do you have realistically?
If you can keep it dry and get a crust on it, weeks.
Weeks, okay.
If it gets wet and you can't keep it dry and you can't get a crust on it, 2 days.
Wow, okay. Wow, that's crazy.
It's tough. And one thing to keep in mind is, so in the South anyways, when I grew up, people were like, oh, you shoot a deer and you had to track it. Well, leave it and come back that morning to track it. You can't do that on like really big animals because the animal's so big, the meat doesn't have a chance to cool down in the middle. So if you like shoot a moose and like, oh, I'm gonna come back for it in the morning, chances are that moose might spoil because all that heat trapped inside. So it's like you get a moose, you better at minimum gut it and open that quarter up where it can breathe, like just down the middle. Get a big stick, open up back legs, and let that breathe in there. Really what you should do is go ahead and butcher it and then set it out in a meat basket. So you take a bunch of branches so the meat can still breathe to get it up, and then you top it, and then you come back and pack it out if you don't want to pack out at night, which I don't like packing out at night, but that's...
No, I'd imagine not. Have you run into any predators or anything packing out meat in any of your experiences?
All the time, yeah. It just happens quite a bit. So it goes year by year on like how often it happens. So if the salmon is good and it's right in like when the salmon's running, the bears are so fat and happy that they don't really feel the need to push you. Like a lot of those bears think of risk versus reward. When now all of a sudden, if the salmon are spawning out, it's getting closer to winter setting in. That bear's like, all of a sudden, hey, messing with that guy and trying to take his meat sounds pretty good. So that's the factors in it. So, I mean, it happens. So here's a story. This is second year being a guide, working for this gentleman, and he had this tackle, and this tackle wasn't made for being a guide, being a packer. He didn't have his head on swivel. So he was packing out this meat, and I wasn't there. This is all a story that happened. But I seen his backpack. So he would walk like this, and I seen him walk like that, and he would have his head down, and he'd just kind of like swodge through life. He's walking the swamp. Well, this bear came up behind him and freaking whacked him on the back, but he had a moose quarter in his pack, and he fell forward, and he was carrying a Glock G20, and a gunfighter was in holster. So he falls in the mud, gets his gun out, and starts shooting behind him. And then, so I'm getting this like story back because I already tagged out back in camp, and some other guys are there, and we were like, yeah, bull crap. This guy's lying out of wherever he can lie out of. So he finally, the bear didn't like keep attacking him. The bear left or whatever. He got back. Pilots went in, picked him up, picked the moose up. And we all thought he was lying like a son of a gun, but he came back with his pack. And sure, like, he is not trying to dog this kid because the kid was actually a nice kid, but he wasn't that creative. So this backpack definitely got swiped by a bear. Just looking at it, had claw marks in it, tore down, and we were like, yeah, this gentleman did not do that. So he wasn't lying. So he didn't even realize how close he came to being dead, being ate, like just if lucky finding his body type of a deal. So that's some of the things that happen, especially when you're like walking on a moose. So this happens all the time. You're walking on a moose. I don't like my clients that help me, like the guys that are hunting with me, took them out from the outfitter, and because I want them looking around, because here I am cutting on this moose, and then quite often you look up and there's a bear walking in on you. Well, sometimes you won't even see it walking in on you. If you're walking away, you just go woof, and you look up because it's trying to push you off the kill, and it's like, well, you don't. Guys die all the time, not all the time, but every year walking on an animal and a bear coming in and getting them. So it's something you got to be cognizant of if you're up there.
Wow.
And I'm not trying to make, Alaska's so big and scary. Alaska, if you're smart and you don't put yourself in bad situations, it's manageable. So don't, like, anybody that's listening to this and wants to go to Alaska, don't listen to me and be like, oh, it's scary, I don't want to go. Go figure out how to make your hunt happen.
Yeah.
Do it, but be smart about it.
So you've captured my curiosity with this. What you're working on a moose or whatever, and you hear that whoo, what do you do? What do you do then?
As soon as you can, you get your rifle. I always have a Glock G20 on my chest, strapped to my chest, and my just drop there. So if I can get to my rifle is better than a pistol, obviously. Like foot-pounds per pistol, I always have it within reach, somewhere close. So as soon as you hear that woof, you start yelling at that bear and letting him know that, hey, I'm not, listen, I'm the boss here. You're not the boss. You keep messing with me, I'll kill you. So typically it goes the, hey, bear, and then a bunch of words that I'm not going to say on this podcast. and then most of the time, if they come in on kill, you have to shoot by them. Like splashes in the face if you're in the swamp, etc. Throw sticks at them if you can find a stick. Typically on a moose, there's not rocks around unless if you kill them on a gravel ball. Most of the moose that I've gotten have been in the swamp. So that's usually how that looks. It's like, listen here, I'm the big boss. You might be bigger than me, but I got a boomstick, so good luck with that. So I can be a little bit more ballsy than you.
Golly.
So then you gotta back them off. So
That's crazy.
Which if it comes down to saving your moose or getting yourself ate or your client ate, it's not worth it. Let the bear have the moose, but definitely do everything you can not to let that happen.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Yeah, I ask these questions. It's interesting to me. We've never had somebody who has been a guide up in that environment, on the podcast. We've had some hunters that hunted up there and had a close call, but not somebody who regularly experiences it to the extent that you do. So it's very, very interesting to me.
Yeah.
What's one of your most memorable experiences up there? I'm sure you probably have a bunch. So
Yeah, well, give me a context on like what kind of story you want, because there's a lot of like impactful stories that have impacted my life, but some are sad, some are like super cloud nine happy, and some are like, this sucks, let's get through it stories.
let's start with a story that was rewarding, happy and rewarding in the end.
So I'm gonna go back to my Dall sheep hunt because it's a recent one. That's been a dream animal of mine for as long as I can remember. I've been guiding now for 6 years, and that's the first Dall sheep I've gotten to take, because you got to walk, you got to get ahead in life, and then you can start to play a little bit for yourself. So getting to take that animal and not only take it, it's looking like it's going to make all-time book, which
Oh, wow.
So it's a really big ram. So being able to go out there by myself, push myself against the limits. I got stuck in a snowstorm that trip on top of the mountain. It snowed for 2 days. I'm like, oh boy, because I'm on the opposite side of the mountain where my pilot is. And if it snows enough, he's on tiles, which if it's deep enough, you can't land on tiles anymore. You have to land on skis. So if that happens, what's my options of getting out of here? And there's a native village like 90 miles away, downriver, and it's like that's probably my best option to get somebody in there because once winter sets in, this is I should have explained what's at. So it's above the Arctic Circle.
Okay.
So if you look at Alaska and you go to the very top and you find mountains at the very top, that's the Brooks Range. I won't get into the Pacific area because I don't want to give it away, but somewhere in the Brooks Range, that's where I was at. And so you're quite a ways above the Arctic Circle. So once winter sets in, it sets in, and it usually doesn't let up if it comes in. So I'm sitting there like, if this snow doesn't let up, and if it keeps up and it doesn't melt off, I might be hiking out to that native village, and that native village doesn't really like I'm just going to say it, they don't really like white trophy hunters. So it's like, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen if I hike the 80, 90 miles to this native village, and it's like all this stuff's going through your mind.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, sun pokes out, snow starts to slowly melt off. By the end of that day, the down below on the mountains back, we can see the grass up top stays snowy. So it's like, hey, I'm not gonna get stuck up here. Look around, see some phenomenal caribou, some really big ones actually. I was so tempted to shoot one, but I'm like, I'm not packing this caribou out of here. And then found a Dall sheep, and then they just pushed it, got them killed, and it was rewarding to get something that 6 years of hunting up there, guiding up there, it took to get that animal. So that was a long time to get to that point. And it kind of goes back to what we hit on in the very beginning. It's that I like to try to tie everything back to like normal life. Yeah. Because it's fun to tell these stories, but how does it apply to normal life? Is whatever your goals are, whatever you're going after, whether it's to build a business, get a management position job, or whatever that is stick with it, do your best. And if you do that, it's going to come. So. Yeah. Wow. So that was a big one for me. Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible, man. Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah, and it's kind of funny. So I see the sheep. I drop down a mountain. I have to circle back around the mountain like this so they can't see me. I book it up the mountain, and so I'm down in just like one layer of clothes. and I'm hauling. I'm going as fast as I possibly can because I want to get on the backside of the mountain they're on and get above them and drop down on them. So I do that. I'm going. I got my pack off my back at this point because I'm trying to creep up on them. I know where they're at, know what crevice. And I get to about 200 yards, and these two little rams that was with there was two legal rams, one really big one and one legal one, and then three small ones, and then these two of the three small ones pop out and they start looking at me, like got up for no reason. So I gotta freeze. My backpack's literally like 6 feet from me because I was playing with my spotting scope, and I'm only in one layer, and it's like 28 degrees probably on top of the mountain. The wind's blowing, and I can't move. If I move, those rams might run. These other rams might go into the cliffs, and now all of a sudden my dream animal was gone. So I'm like, surely they won't be here too long. So I'm sitting here, and I'm like balled up like a rock, trying to make myself look like a rock because that's where they busted me. I'm like, I can't move. And then 2 hours pass. So
Oh my word.
in that 2 hours, I'm like flexing my muscles out like as hard as I can, trying to keep my heart rate up. This 1, 2, 3 contract, 1, 2, 3 contract. Finally, that big freaking ram, and my gun's like right on my lap. I'm like, as soon as that ram comes out, I'm gonna shoot him. Finally, that ram comes out. It walks out. Gets outside. I grab my gun. Bang, bang. He walks up 20 yards, so he's 180 yards. He's dead. It's funny, during like shooting him, I was rock solid. Like I could have made that same shot at 500 yards, 600 yards. Bang. As soon as he dies, I'm like, oh, I'm so freaking cold. I cannot. I shook for like 45 minutes. I tried to get warmed back up because that short I had on was all sweaty because I was booking it so hard. And it's like my jackets are right there, but if I go to get my jackets, my ram that I want to get might be gone forever. So it's like, oh, I'm just gonna suffer here for however long it takes.
Holy
It was
cow.
cold, but it was worth it.
That's crazy, man. Wow. Yeah, for sure, rewarding experience at that point. So, do you bow hunt at all up there?
Not much up there. I will continue to do a little bit more hunting for myself, and I'll start incorporating the bow. I bow hunt when I'm down back in the 48. So like right now, my family and my girlfriend and my business partner and a couple of my businesses are all based out of Missouri. I'm an Alaska resident. My house is up there, so I bounce back and forth because I got all these other things going on here, and then I love Alaska. And it's like that's gonna be my home. So I got to talk my girlfriend into moving up there ASAP. But so that's what's going on. So I bow hunt down here quite a bit. So like, I guess it would have been Sunday. I think Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday. I shot a really nice 10-point buck out in Oklahoma. Went and just got a tag. Had a buddy that got some land and went out there. And I was fortunate to get one with a bow, and it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw the picture on your Instagram the other day. It was very cool. What so I mean you've been doing this Alaska thing for years. You got it, sound like you got it figured out up there pretty well. What kind of gear do you use? And I'm curious just because, you know, again, we haven't had somebody with your level of experience in an environment like that on here before, and I'm sure there's some listeners that hunt that or, you know, go on those backcountry hunts, that kind of thing, and would be very interested to hear, you know, kind of what you yourself typically work with or recommend.
Absolutely. So I'll give options because there's a lot of good companies out there, and there's very few things that are out there that is like, this is the best, nothing else touches it. There's a lot of good brands out there, so you got to find what it's kind of like. Do you like Ford or Chevy?
Right, exactly.
So good pair of boots will start there. Crispy, Zamblins, Lifton's and Sons, whatever other mountain boot you can think of. That's usually the good ones are made in Italy. So look at like that. Look at how it fits your feet. It's important for people to understand mountain boots. They're very rigid. I know, like leather boots, most people are like, oh, I'll buy them and I'll break them in. a mountain boot doesn't break in if it's actually a mountain boot. So you need to find one that fits your foot. Sometimes it won't be 100% comfortable because your foot needs to adjust to the boot, but the boot won't adjust to your foot if it's a true stiff mountain boot. So make sure you go to a mountain shop or a boot shop, whatever you need to do, and try on a bunch of different brands and figure out what one fits your foot the best, because it's not going to adjust that much.
Right.
On socks, I like Kinetrack socks, the extra padded ones. I mean, there's a lot of good ones, but that's the ones I use. Gaiters are huge. Everly Stock makes Gaiters. OR makes Gaiters. Kinetrack's going to hate me, but buy Kinetrack socks. They're great. Kinetrack boots are really solid. Their Gaiters suck. Don't buy. So just in my opinion, someone might love them and say I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't like them.
It's your experience,
pants,
man. Yeah.
Yeah. Pants. Pretty much any mountain pant. Just make sure they're lightweight and can dry out fast. VR Raven's great. Everly Stock makes some stuff. Sika, Kuyu, just a mountain pant that's going to dry out quick. Rain pants. Find one. So something about rain gear. If you are going to be, especially in Alaska, because it rains more than most places if you're on the coast, ultra lightweight and really good rain gear usually don't go with a ghetto. So just keep that in mind if you're planning on doing like a wet Alaska hunt. Carry the extra pounds and stay dry on that side of things. If you're doing like a moose hunt or brown bear hunt, think of a PBC, like the stuff. If you watch Deadliest Catch, think of those jackets. You want an all rubber jacket. It's going to be heavy. It's going to take up a lot of room in your pack, but it's going to keep you dry. Helly Hansen, Gundens. When you go in, I like to run 2 rain jackets, so I have like a light one that's okay. It's kind of misting outside. I'm going to walk around in this thing. It's going to keep me from getting wet in this mist. When it starts to downpour like a sun over gun, it's not going to keep me from getting wet. I'm going to put on that rubber jacket. I was going to say something that's kind of funny, but I shouldn't say. I won't say it. So that's that side of things. So really, if wet weather, Sika makes good rain gear. Hugh makes good rain gear. Arc'teryx makes good rain gear. Everly Stock is coming out with some good stuff. Stone Glacier. One thing I will say is not step on anybody's toes. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So just get rain gear, and if you're gonna go on like a really challenging hunt, try to test it out. Go hop in the shower, stand in the shower for a little bit, and if you get wet, within reason, because you're gonna get a little bit of seepage around the neck. That's gonna happen. But if you get soaked in places you shouldn't get soaked, take it back and get some different rain gear. Base layers, anything that dries out fast. Again, a lot of company makes stuff. Gun wise, I like a 300 Win Mag and bigger for up in Alaska. I use the 300 Win Mag a lot. It's a very versatile caliber. I am very biased to Leupold's. That's what I've always used since I was like yay big, and so I would say buy a Leupold. I've had Vortex and I've had Leupold, and in my opinion, Leupold is superior. So that's one thing. That's one brand that I will be like, they're freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Nozzle makes good ammunition. Nozzle Acubon. Hornady makes good ammunition. EODX is a good bullet. So kind of look at those as a good option. Oh, what am I missing? Binoculars. I like one with a rangefinder in it. They're expensive. So if it's a budget hunt, then just have a normal pair of binoculars and a rangefinder. That works just fine.
Yeah.
For me, how many animals I'm hunting, I like to be able to sit there and glass the animal, judge the animal, and get a active read on it, and I never have to switch back and forth. So I got eyes on the animal. I never have to take eyes off that animal until it dies. I'm not switching back and forth. Trying to think any other go. Backpack. Again, try different backpacks. I like a big old bag that has a sturdy frame to it for me because I'm carrying big loads. If you just going for like a smaller hunt, just you don't have to have as beefy as a pack, but I like a
Right.
beefy pack. Knife wise, so 2 knives. Montana Knife Company makes a good one. Gunfighters Inc. makes a good, like, a knife's a knife. There's really good ones out there. Figure out what you like. And then on taking care of your animal, cutting really fine lines, you want like a scalpel. So Toito, I think it's the name of them, knives. It's like it's literally a doctor knife. What they use to cut open people and do surgery and stuff. It's a great knife. Definitely have one of those.
Very cool. Have you ever had a hunter show up and you look at his gear and you're like, yeah, no, bro?
In the beginning, yes, quite often actually. So, when I first started out, I didn't have any prior like contact with whoever I was guiding. I worked for this outfitter. He would be like, you're gonna do this. Okay, I'll go do that. You're gonna go guide this guy. Okay, I'll go guide this guy. As I started to progress in my career, now it's like I communicate heavily with the outfitters I work with. Do you have a guy you want me to take out? Cool. Shoot me his number. I want to communicate with him. I got things that I want to have said beforehand so we're on the same page. I want to have a FaceTime call like, hey, let's go through your gear ahead of time. Because what used to happen was, oh, go through his gear. And it's like, well, we're already in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, so if he doesn't have the right stuff, what are we going to do?
It is what it is at that point.
Exactly. So now not anymore. No, I communicate heavily with who's going to go hunting with me just to make sure everything's right, squared away, and setting everything up that we can for success.
Very
Preparation's
cool.
key.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to, as we progress through our time here today, I wanted to slightly shift gears a little bit and ask you about your, I guess it's your brand, because if you look up on Instagram, your profile picture is this Rise Up logo. What is this, man? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I drew that logo out 2:00 in the morning, coming in after 30 days of being out nonstop hunting. And the idea kind of came up. I didn't have the name of it, Rise Up, at the time, but the idea came up when I went to high school. So I was homeschooled for a while. I got a job, and then I wanted to be a Navy SEAL at one point in my life, and I had to go get a high school diploma to do that. So I went to public school. And it was weird. We were taking the ACT, and like 36 is a perfect score on the ACT. And I'm listening to all these people talk, and they're like, I want to get an 18. I want to get a 21. They were aiming for the bare minimum that they had to get in the whatever college they wanted to get into. Instead of like, let's aim for the absolute best that we can do, and then whatever happens, where the cards lie, the cards lie. So that's when I was like, I don't get this not shooting to be the best. I don't understand it. So the logo represents to me, if you look real closely, there's a guy and he's almost to the top of the mountain. And why he's almost to the top and that on the top is because in life, we are never truly at the top of the mountain. We never make it there. It's always getting to that next step, because as soon as you think you made it to the top, you actually way at the bottom because you think you're better than what you are. So that guy's up there, he's pushing, and the sun's coming up behind him. So he got up early, he started getting after it, and he's almost out to the top of the mountain before the sun even wakes up. And that's what Rise Up is. It's like, get up, push, be the best that you can be.
That's awesome. So you mentioned a production company and these avenues that you have going on. What all you have going on? Because on the flip side, you do all this guiding and these excursions up in Alaska, but then like one look at your Instagram page, you see the quality of content on there, and you're producing some pretty awesome outdoor content. So what all do you have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So fall 2020, after the whole COVID scare and all that, I wanted to start sharing my experiences, and I didn't know. I mean, I've tried to do the self-film thing, but the fact is, whenever something cool was happening, I'm not picking up a camera. I either have my gun, or I'm driving a boat, or I'm not thinking about filming it. So I was like, I have to take the next step and figure out a way to hire someone to come up here and film this. So we got that put together. Ironically, my college roommate was a film major, and he was very, very, very talented. His name's Austin Wood, if you want to look him up. And he's like, can I come and film you? I'm like, I don't have that much money. I can pay you what I can pay you, but I don't have that much money. And that's how Rise Up started. So it's a film series. We put out a lot of different films. It's a mixture of hunting slash touching on the lessons that I learn on each hunt, because each hunt's different. I'm going to be challenged in different ways. What are the takeaways I can take back home to help me succeed? So that's the production company. I just have guys come out and we film hunts and we make some awesome content. We're blessed to be in the places that we are and hunt the animals that we hunt, and they turn out really well. The other things I have going on is Tapity. Tapity is a software company. You can hop on the App Store and download the app. It's TAPIDY. It's a communication platform you can use. For example, here's my phone. Ironically, I have a Tapity card here. It's I can take it, tap it to the top of the phone. See, it pops up a tab. I hit the tab. It open. And it pops up this person's contact information. I can hit save. It autofills all that information in the phone. I hit done. And now I have the name, last name, business name, phone number, email, websites, social medias in seconds, instead of sitting there and trying, what's your name? What's your phone number? And if I'm lucky, I got Jeff and his phone number.
Yeah.
I don't have Jeff's last name, what Jeff does, his email, etc. So it's just it's a really good way to communicate and connect with people. And then the other company is we're in the process of starting. It's not up and launched yet, but if you want to go follow the Instagram page, we're just brand new on there. It's outfitter.services. It's going to be the place where people go to book their hunts, find out what gear they need for that hunt, and be directed to the place where they need to go get it. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to change the industry. So if you want to go hop on the Instagram page, hop on the Facebook page, and then you'll be able to have updates once we launch, and that's coming in a couple months.
That's awesome, man. You are one busy guy.
I try to be. Like I said, I get bored easy, and I gotta keep myself entertained somehow.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, as we draw toward the end of our time here today, I have a couple questions I want to ask you. Some questions that we ask all first time guests that we have on our podcast. We've called them like our rapid fire questions and stuff. There's nothing rapid about them because the answers are long and everything. So I don't know really what we call them now, but needless to say, I'll hit you with a couple. One of them is your favorite hunting and outdoor experience, but I don't know, unless it's something different. It sounded like earlier that sheep hunt was pretty close to the top right there.
Yeah, flying airplanes is really fun, and being in the ocean when the ocean gets scary, there's no adrenaline like that. That and flying, because you're powerless. It's like the wind and the air is going to push that plane where it wants to push it. All you can do is do your best and hold on. In the ocean, that ocean's angry, and you have these big swells, and you're in this little boat, and all you can do is the best you can do. And if she's going to take you, she's going to take you. So
golly,
that is the most adrenaline, because a bear, I mean, you got to respect them and you got to understand what they can do to you, but they don't really scare me that much because I'm going to shoot them in the head if I have to. The ocean, there's no head to shoot. You ain't killing her. So
yeah, she's
gonna do what she wants to do. So that's when it comes to most adrenaline, flying and being in the ocean when it gets angry.
That's crazy, man. I couldn't do that for sure.
Oh, you'll pee your panties. I tell you what, I've had to change many pairs of bridges because you're like, oh boy. Well, so when the ocean gets mad, so you're in this little boat, you have these swells, and if you're lucky, the swells will fall apart, if they chopping close together, that's real trouble. So you're in your boat, you're walking it, and you get up to you're on the top of the swell. You have to kind of angle your boat and get down back in the bottom of the swell, and you can't go down fast, because if you go down fast, you're gonna dip the top of the front of your boat into that next swell, and then you're gonna swamp it and you're gonna die. So you go down at an angle, and once you get down to an angle, now you can't go up at an angle, so you kind of cut up like this, and you give it full power. You climb up to depending on, you gotta adjust the power depending on what how your motor is contacting the water. So in your depth, you have a little control of how deep it's in the water, etc. So you get up to the top, and then you got to back off again, because if you stay on the top, then you go back down too fast, and you're gonna swamp your boat again. So you like throttle off, throttle on, throttle off, throttle on, and you're like, oh boy, I'm gonna make it back. I know I'm gonna make it back, and you're sitting there trying to pick your way through these swells to get back to some shelter. Like I said, that the ocean can change so fast too. It's just something you gotta respect.
Yeah, for sure. Holy cow, man. Well, my next question for you is, what is a toward the top bucket list hunt that you yourself want to go on you haven't gotten to do yet?
Okay, so the top one is illegal. I can't do it yet. But so some people are probably gonna hate me for saying it, but I want to hunt a tiger really bad. I don't think there's a prettier animal than a big tiger like that. That would be so phenomenal. There's nowhere in the world that I know of that you can hunt them legally, so I'm not gonna hunt one until that happens. Hopefully it happens. What would be the other one? A Marco Polo would be super cool, or a truly wild lion, like not a high fence lion, like a truly wild lion would be pretty awesome.
Wow. Have you ever hunted Africa before?
Not yet. No, I'm gonna go over there for the first time next June and go do a Cape Buffalo, and those are pretty dangerous. So it's fun. I like animals that can get you as well. It just takes the adrenaline level to a different level.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Well, my third and final question is always relevant to the meat of the conversation. So I'll ask, if we have listeners who are wanting to go to Alaska for whatever hunt for the very first time, what is the biggest piece of advice that you can give them?
Set your expectations. Know your expectations and find the outfitter that fits those. If you don't want to go with an outfitter, spend lots of time preparing for that hunt, making sure you have the right stuff. Go to outfitter services once it's up. They go find your hunt. That's going to help you out a lot. And I'm not just saying that the push what's coming. It's like that's my goal, is to change the industry that way. But be mentally prepared. Don't sell yourself on your imagination, and then go up there and it's not what you imagine. So then you're disappointed, because Alaska is different each week you go out. There's been weeks where I go out and there's dog sheep over here, there's caribou over here, there's bear over here, and it's just like, yeah, it's always like this, man. But the fact is, the week after that is like, where did all the animals go? It's like there's so much country that the animals were just hopping, moving around. You could see them, they were in that area. Well, then the next week it's like, I can't, like, where did the caribou go? Like, they just moved off, like way, who knows where they went. You got to look for the dog sheep. They hide in somewhere. They move to a different area. The bear, don't live in the moment when you're in Alaska and appreciate it for what it is when you're there. Would be a big piece, I guess.
That's awesome advice for sure. Yeah, well, very well put. Well, Caleb, tell everybody where they can find you.
Definitely. So if you just want to hop on Google and type in Caleb Stillians. Caleb is spelled C-A-L-E-B. Stillians is spelled S-T-I-L-L-I-A-N-S. And that's going to pull up the YouTube, the Instagram, the Facebook. etc., and the website. So if you just want to go check those out, I'd appreciate it. Hop on Outfitter Services. It's outfitter.services. Get on the Instagram. Stay up to date on when that comes out. A lot of cool content. It's fun launching this company because it's not just my content that gets put out to promote it. It's like I've met so many phenomenal people that have awesome stories. So now it's like they fit underneath that umbrella. So now I can share their stories under what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's honestly kind of more fun because I get burnt out. I'm like, oh, here's what I'm doing. Because I'm blessed to do what I do, but it's fun to talk about other people a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys want to go look that up, that'd be awesome. You need a Tappity for your business, go get a Tappity. Tapidy, and you're good to go.
Perfect. Yeah, guys, head on over and give Caleb and all of his avenues a follow there and a like and all that good stuff. Go
Do
ahead.
I have the record for the most social medias to go look up?
For any guest, you might. Yeah, I don't know if we've had anybody list that many. You also probably have the award for the most. I don't know, the most dangerous game hunter or something like that out there too, man. You got some crazy stories, but man, I do appreciate you coming on the podcast, and you know, I don't know if I don't even remember if we mentioned it at the beginning, but you know, it was a unique connection, everything, kind of through the Carbon TV network and Julie over there and everything. And I'm grateful that you found us and that we were able to make this happen. And hopefully it's not the last time you're on a podcast. So
I would love to come back, and Julie's phenomenal. I'm glad she helped connect this. And yeah, no, thank you for anybody that's listening. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's cool. Your time is precious, so the fact that you sat down and listened, I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on. It was a true pleasure.
yeah, absolutely, man, for sure. For for our Fall Obsession listeners, thank y'all for listening, watching the podcast video, whatever the case might be. If you haven't already, hit that follow and subscribe button, whatever podcast platform you're listening on. We're on all major podcast apps as well as Carbon TV and Waypoint TV. Head on over and check us out, fallobsession.com. That's the website, that's the hub. All of our content is on there covering hundreds of different topics in the hunting and outdoor industry. We are a hunting and outdoor media production company, and we got you covered in video series, educational content, gear reviews, wild game recipes, podcasts, you name it, we got it. So head on over there, explore around. Social media, all the main platforms, as well as Go Wild. Go check us out on all those. Follow Fall Obsession. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's where the podcast videos are, and that's where you guys can see multiple new videos that we put out every week in our many different media series. Finally, Ridge Rock Hunt Company is our Fall Obsession podcast partner. Derek and Lacey over there in Mississippi, they run an outfitter booking agency over there with a vetted network of outfitters. So give Derek a call if you're looking to set something up. He's willing to work with folks and work with your budget and timeline, all that kind of stuff. He's an awesome dude. So give them a shout over there. But Caleb, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, so.
Well, for our Fall Obsession listeners, thank y'all for listening, and I'll be back with y'all again next week for another podcast. Catch you then.